The demand for a higher national minimum wage stretches from behind cash registers across America all the way to the White House. And just hours ago, we saw how loud that demand can be. Protesters swarmed McDonald's headquarters in Illinois, asking the company to pay employees $15 an hour. Scenes like this are playing out from coast to coast as huge crowds call for higher pay and a living wage. But the tide might be turning. The New York Times says last night we saw, quote, perhaps the most significant victory so far in a national push to raise the minimum wage. Los Angeles voted to become the biggest city so far to raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2020. Just listen to the reaction after the vote.
That passes. I want to thank everybody for all of the work that you've put in on this item.
Joining me now is Los Angeles City Councilman Paul Krekorian, who was instrumental in getting this plan passed. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure, Reverend Sharpton. Good to be with you.
Well, why is this issue so important to you?
You know, I grew up in a household where I was raised by a single mom who waited tables to put food on the table. So I understand how difficult this is for working families who are at the bottom, and it's gotten worse. Over the course of the last few decades, the middle class in this country has been decimated by wage disparity and by increasing unaffordability, and that's a special problem in Los Angeles, where our housing costs and our transportation costs are so great that it's becoming increasingly difficult for anybody to get by on a minimum wage or low-paying job.
Now, let's look at the facts. In 2014, the minimum wage went up in 14 states. And the Center for Economic and Policy Research says in those states, in those particular states, quote, employment growth was higher. Outside of the people with bigger paychecks, what benefits do you hope to see in your city?
Well, Los Angeles has 18% of its workforce living in poverty. This increase is going to result in a pay increase for nearly 800,000 people, more than the entire population of Boston. So this is a huge step forward in terms of raising the standard of living for so many people. But it's also putting $6 billion in disposable income into our local economy. So this is going to stimulate jobs. It's going to stimulate new business. People who live on minimum wage don't invest in the stock market. They don't take vacations to Bermuda. They don't sock their money away in a Swiss bank account. They spend it in local businesses. And so this is an investment in our economy, but it's also an investment in our social fabric. This increase will give people hope who right now are hopeless. And you can't expect to have a society that functions when this significant a portion of your population are living in hopelessness.
Absolutely. Well, I know a lot about that growing up as I did with a single parent. And in many ways, if you don't have these kinds of things as the basement, no one is going to make it where it is livable for people that have been marginalized. For example, the vote in Los Angeles that you helped to champion, it couldn't have come at a better time. We did some research, and on the current minimum wage in LA, someone would have to work 94 hours a week to pay for a simple one-bedroom apartment, 94 hours a week. What are you hearing from families you represent about how this raise will help them?
This increase is going to lift hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty. That's a monumentally important step. So yes, it's going to be very important to create a better standard of living for those folks. But it's also, I think, investment in the future. It's an investment in the strength of families in our community. It's an investment in the children in those families to give them a better opportunity to become a part of the middle class and have the American dream that we want everyone in our country to be able to enjoy.
You know, year after year, Councilman, President Obama has asked Congress to raise the national minimum wage. Listen to this.
Let's declare that in the wealthiest nation on earth, no one who works full-time should have to live in poverty. and raise the federal minimum wage to $9 an hour. So join the rest of the country. Say yes. Give America a raise. And to everyone in this Congress who still refuses to raise the minimum wage, I say this. If you truly believe you could work full-time and support a family on less than $15,000 a year, try it.
But the Congress still hasn't raised it. We see Los Angeles as the first big city. Are we at a defining moment yet, Councilman?
I believe so. I believe there was a turning point that happened yesterday, and I hope Congress will listen to the president. I hope every state house in America will listen to the president. But Los Angeles is not going to wait. We're going to lead. We took a big step forward yesterday, and I hope that the rest of the nation will soon follow.
Los Angeles City Councilman Paul Krekorian, thank you for your time tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.